Fiendish Films fans. I'm Mike Fitzgerald, the Master of Ceremonies, the host with the most, and with me today, as always, is...
Madeline.
I completely threw you off there by
You
having
did.
something to say.
You did.
Okay. Oh, speaking of having something to say, I know we've only done... I actually am not exactly how many reviews we've done so far. But
A few.
I am willing to say, and we just started covering some independent features, or shorts with The Wolf Hunter and The Vampire Assassin. And this is our third independent film for us to cover. Truly independent, I know.
And as you see, we do not show any mercy on films, even if they're independent and have no budget.
Okay, so making that clear, I enjoy when we review these independent films. And if any of our viewers would like to send us their own independent film, we'd like to review it. Keep it in mind what she said. Also,
We're not going to show mercy on you just because you had a 2-cent budget.
also, if you want her to have a copy, you'll have to send 2 copies. Otherwise, she can just watch the one you send me. Okay. All right. So, is there anything else you wanted to bring up before we get going?
I think we like watching the indies a bit more because we make indie films ourselves.
We relate more to them.
Yeah, we relate more to them. We understand what goes into them in a way that I'd say we show a little bit more mercy, but we tear it apart even more because we've been there and we're like, seriously, that's what you did.
Well, I don't think we've ever really torn anything apart.
I tore everything.
Okay.
I tear everything apart.
But I relate more to them. I get more enjoyment out of them. I find them to be a lot more... I find them often to be more creative, more interesting. Okay, so speaking of which, we are reviewing tonight the Michael Kazlo II film Bloodlust. Michael Kazlo was also the director of The Vampire Assassin, which we also reviewed. This is a work that predated The Vampire Assassin. That was Jurassic Jim knocking into something.
Ghost Jim,
or
Cameraman Jim,
or
whatever.
Cameraman Jim,
I know he wants to
knocking
be
into
today.
something. So this, like The Vampire Assassin, is also a vampire film. Okay. I really thought she was going to chime in and not make me do all the work.
Well, you usually go through and you do the whole...
Okay.
You tell the basic story and then I just tear it apart and then you try to save it and then I tear it apart more.
Well, this is the story of Maria, also known as the Hunter. Her parents were killed at an early age by a vampire. Her and her brother were adopted by the church, where they both joined the church. Her as a nun, he was studying in seminary school.
Are we gonna wait to bring up the habit?
No. Well, we can get to that. I was just thinking. We later on find that the church brought him in to protect the rectory. Because we're very juvenile.
We are.
We are very juvenile. Where they were trained in martial arts. While in this period of their lives, a vampire kills Maria's brother, and at this point she decides to leave the nunnery, or leave the sisterhood. The rectory.
She's leaving the rectory.
She pulls out of the rectory, because we're juvenile, to find...
She pulled out of the rectory. I'm sorry, I've had like 12 cups of coffee in the last 2 hours.
I like the pain expression on my wife's face over there. Like she's covering her face she's not on camera, but she's covering her face.
She's starting to find it funny now too.
It's only 11:23. Okay.
There's a vampire attack we have to pull out of the rectory.
We're very juvenile. She wants to find the vampire that killed her parents, and also kill all vampires.
But they didn't kill the kitten she had. What was the cutest kitten?
Yes, Madeline was very thrilled because the opening shot included
it had
a
a kitten that looked like my cat Katie, who's a Maine Coon.
You were not at all concerned about the infant child in the shot. No.
Who cares? It was the creepiest looking kid I ever saw. No, but the kid was okay.
Yes. All right. So she starts her crusade of vengeance against the vampires.
Yeah. I sat there saying to myself, I'm not going to tear this apart. I'm going to give it a chance because right now we're making a low budget film and I understand what goes into it and I understand like sometimes that take where you think it's really bad, that's the take that's used because of reasons. But first thing that I'm thinking of is this film I would have had a better review for this film if I didn't watch the whole thing. It just went too long. There was a lot of filler material that was just unnecessary. There's stuff that didn't make any sense.
What didn't make sense? How about that? Let's start there.
The tattoo artist who's like, I've known your father for centuries. Ho, ho, ho. And I'm like, is she half vampire? Are we going a Blade route here?
That was, yes, I agree. That was the tattoo vampire was the vampire who killed her parents.
Yeah.
And he claimed to have known them.
Yeah, like they were really good friends, and I was thinking there was going to be an in-depth storyline, like this was her godfather or something, and he got turned by vampires, and he went crazy with Bloodlust and killed the people he cared about, and no, it didn't go anywhere.
Okay.
There's really...
No,
unless there was something...
I agree.
That I didn't catch, because there have been a few times where I'm like, where the hell did that come from? And you're like, oh, it was this and this, because I didn't notice details.
Well, I mean, if I had to offer up a theory, maybe that was part of a story that was undeveloped. I mean, maybe there was an intention somewhere in shooting to develop that story, or maybe do other scenes with that actor. Obviously, you could tell from just the changes in the seasons, because we have scenes that are obviously shot at different times of the year. Mm-hmm. There's scenes of snow on the ground. There's actually the first snow scene. There's actually shots where they match up.
Yeah.
Did you see the step of the boot on the cotton?
Yes.
The sheet to match up different parts of different scenes were shot at different times, and the director made an effort to match them up. So you can tell the whole feature was shot over a long period of time.
It was, but they listed the locations, of course. And it was in the Albany area, which is around upstate New York. And now
Glen Falls area.
Yeah.
A little north of Albany, I believe.
And we're in upstate New York, and, it'll be 90 degrees, and then the next day you'll have snow on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
So you really could just put all over the place. This is upstate New York, and no one, if you have, like, people at the beach, and then you have snow on the ground, no one's going to question it if they know the area.
Well, it's an advantage to filmmakers in the area, but yes, It could be a little...
You will experience all 4 seasons within a week.
But her story takes place over a length of time,
yes.
And also there are some scenes that are flashbacks, like that.
Was that a flashback with her brother or a dream? Or like a nightmare she had that she was going back to?
Flashback.
It was a flashback? Okay.
Yes, that was a flashback. And then the scene where I was discussing her chasing the vamps in the snow, that was also a flashback. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about, I don't know. I want to talk about what I like most about the film. I probably hands down my favorite vampire, Regret.
Yes, Regret, who looked like he stepped out of a trauma film. He just reminded me of, like, trauma films. Like, if they have a punk, like, drug addict, he would be the guy that played it in like, The Toxic Avenger, and he was just batshit crazy, and he was a lot of fun.
I give him more credit for that. I mean, the trauma characters are often just insanely. I mean, trauma goes after the stupid humor. I thought he was a drugged out vampire, but he was very believable. Mm-hmm. Not to suggest the actors that some drugged out vampire or druggy, but he really, I don't know. He seemed natural in his role.
Yeah, he definitely was having a ball with it.
And I think his fight with Maria had some of the best choreography.
Yes.
I think that was my favorite fight in the film.
Definitely. There's a scene in it which is really effective where he actually takes this bag of cocaine and just all over his face. So he's doing this whole fight with, like, cocaine all over the place, and you see the powders from it. Well, it's not real cocaine, of course, if it wasn't.
Well, there's one thing, and this isn't on this director. I see this in a lot of films where, when it comes to mostly cocaine, because you can use any kind of white powder and it's a great fill-in for cooking. Where more is always more, where it's like, well, you know what, we could just put a few lines here or a few lines there and people will pick up on that. But I think a lot of directors go, well, I can get, baking soda or powdered sugar and just put it on. And they just put as much, I mean, there was plenty of cocaine there. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know how valid a point, I don't know what kind of point I'm trying to make is, there's always plenty of cocaine. Yeah. Cocaine is very easy to do.
Yeah.
Okay, that didn't go
in a movie where we had cocaine,
that didn't go
or
anywhere.
Fake cocaine, or anything like
but
that.
But if you are, there's always plenty.
If you need drug addicts in your film, make them be cokeheads.
Oh yeah,
it's the easiest way to go. Low budget filming tips from us.
Okay.
From Fiendish Films. One thing that, talking about the fight scene, which really was distracting, was these people didn't know how to fake fight react at all. I mean, what's his name? Regret?
Yeah, he did great.
He was great. But the actress who played Maria was terrible. And I don't, that goes back to, it could have been they reshot this 30 times and she was just exhausted, because that's what it started to look like. But he goes and hits her and she's like, oh. Well, and it was so bad.
Well, it stands out because when you see her, she's getting into shape on the punching bag. Mm-hmm. And then when you see her actually connect, I mean, that was real. I liked seeing her do that. And that was a good scene, but unfortunately seeing her connect with an object repeatedly, and then to see her in the fights where you don't see that connection detracts from it. Yeah. But I mean that unless you know fight choreography or stage choreography, that's got to be different.
Or you have someone who's willing to bash their own head repeatedly against the table. Which someone here did. Yeah. Then. Yeah,
but I've injured myself numerous times doing that.
It's part of being in low budget film. I've injured myself as well. I mean.
Well, there's me bashing the head into the table. Oh, I remember the time I was suffocated too. I got an injury from that. What else did I get an injury from? Okay, those were both episodes of The Fiends. You bashed my head into the table.
You bashed your own head in the table. I don't know what you're talking about.
Peter Thomas suffocated me. And Vulture Videos, The Fumigator, I was just had people
they
beating
just
the
kick
crap
the crap out of you.
Yeah. Well, it was the guy with the plastic rod thing that did the most damage. I'm trying to think of what else I've been hurt on. Have you been hurt on anything?
I don't know if losing my voice will do fumigator counts. But,
Oh, okay.
I did
You got off
in
easy.
the vampire film I was doing. I got hurt quite a bit.
Well, so you can understand that. I mean, and he had a large cast, and you may find one or two individuals who are as reckless as we are, but he had a large cast, so it's gonna be hard to find that many individuals.
Right, but there's also
And also a lot of, this is gonna sound completely sexist. There's a lot of female roles, and a lot of the female roles involve fighting. And as I said, it's gonna sound sexist. It's possible some of the women are less likely to want to be as reckless physically as the men.
But there's ways around it, and there's one way that I thought that they were going to do when she's fighting the mute, whatever his name is.
I think his name was X.
He's completely out of the shot, and at one point, and she's going like this. Now, pretend X is my legs. It was literally like this. Now, I worked on a film where we actually stuck 3 layers of yoga mat under someone's coat during a stabbing, and it was a retractable knife. But because that was hitting, we wanted to make it look good. But he was out of shot, so she could have been coming down on anything, and she's still like that. It just looked awful.
Okay.
It looked really, really bad.
Well, let's get away from the fight choreography.
Okay.
What do you think of Bloodlust in terms of the story?
I think that there was a lot of loose ends. I think there's a lot of stuff that got started and then they never went anywhere with it. Like the one vampire is bringing up that they're trying to change themselves into humans, and they just don't want to. We want to turn ourselves into humans. We don't want to be. She said homampires.
Well, I don't think that was a loose end. I think that was that character's way of getting Maria the Hunter's character to understand that there are different vampires, that she herself can be trusted, and that she herself was on
there would have
the
been
same
a lot
side.
simpler ways to say that.
Okay.
I mean, she went into this long thing. We want to be Homo sapiens, not homampires. It was a really weird word she used. And then she starts talking about different vampire clans and stuff like that. And at the end, one of the head vampires from, I don't know what clan, I don't remember them saying. I don't think he was the Dracul.
Oh, okay,
clan.
the one on the phone.
He makes a comment, you are shaking the foundation of the clans and blah, blah, blah. We haven't seen her go after any specific leaders, except for the people that were responsible for her parents' deaths, and they don't really bring up that they're major players in it. And unless all the leaders were getting together in that one hotel room with regret and doing cocaine with him, then I really don't know where that line came from.
Well, but there is also the line where he says, okay, their clan is concerned about the European clans. The European clans are preparing to make a move.
Mm-hmm.
Come over, take over. And he was concerned about their populations, their numbers being depleted because they'd have to, defend their territory. And if the hunter, Maria Hunter, kept eliminating vampires, they're going to be in weakened positions where they could fall to another clan. So I understood that in the context of the story.
I didn't understand the whole, you're shaking the foundation, because she didn't.
Well, I think...
I mean,
but she's also...
And she said of the clans, not just of my clan.
Okay, but they're also... Okay, now I'm blanking out. She is something that's new to the vampires. They said they'd call any human who killed 3 vampires, a harbinger, and that was a posthumorous title because they probably killed him before they got around to killing a 4th. So for any human to have killed more than 3 is, I mean, that's...
Which I didn't understand because none of these vampires were that impressive. I mean, they're all like regret. Yeah, I can understand, but none of them were. Especially the head vampire. He was so laughable. No,
Which one are we calling the head vampire?
The fat guy. I'm sorry, that's really mean. I shouldn't make fun of someone's name.
The Stalker.
The Stalker.
That was his name.
Bad
unfunny but funny vampire.
The unfunny funny vampire.
Well, he was very difficult for her to kill.
I think he was more difficult because they didn't have the original actress.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay, we were talking about the things we liked. I feel like I should say something I liked about this
movie. Okay.
Do we have enough tape for her to think?
Okay.
Well.
Keep talking.
All right.
I liked Regret. I mean, Regret was awesome.
Okay.
The whole movie should have been just him. He was great. He was very entertaining.
No, I agree.
The martini she was drinking looked really good in the bar scene.
Well, what did you think of that character?
She was supposed to be this, like, head vampire. I'm so gorgeous, look at me with my awkward 90s hairstyle where one strand of hair is obnoxiously long. The hair was awkward too. I don't know, just... She was supposed to be this great siren seductress, obviously a very common vampire film trope, and she was not good at it. I mean, she just wasn't good at portraying that at all. She even rips off a man's penis, and I was like...
Yeah, there's a lot of damages to... There's a lot of... well, besides that, there's a lot of knee... Yes, there's a lot of testicular damage. There's a lot of crotch kneeing.
There's so many headbutts.
Lots
in
of
this
headbutting.
Movie. It's like that's half of the whole combat scene, which was really entertaining, was just Regret and Maria just headbutting the hell out of each other. Which
this is the character you were talking about, the female vampire.
I just didn't.
Calphia, There's a whole practically a Wikipedia of the characters from Bloodlust on the Archangel page.
Why do I care what her favorite drinks are?
So you can order one.
I don't care if she likes cognac.
Okay.
Be like virgin blood martini or something. Martini, or, I don't know. Do something more entertaining than that on your site. Blood orange martinis. Those are actually really good if you find a recipe for them, and that would have been better for her because she's a vampire.
You're just full of anger.
We're all the wannabes.
You're just so full of anger.
8 positive martinis.
I think as we discussed during the Vampire Assassin,
Which
your
is
own
so much better.
Oh
my goodness.
Your own experience on vampire films has been equally as troubled. So I would think you could be you could understand. So what is the biggest, not necessarily with Bloodlust, what is the biggest challenge that you find with vampire films that people have with that?
Right now we're going through again another vampire reboot thing, and I'm just so vampired out. I am so tired of vampires and zombies. Sorry. Like, we have Twilight, if you could call them Twilight.
Every time you had to go.
No, we have
it is
True
over,
Blood.
You know it's over. Twilight. You're the one who brings it up. No one else brings it up.
That's
have you ever heard me bring it up? Have you ever heard me bring it up? No.
All the other damn
You're the one who brings up Twilight.
Vampire Diaries. The number of vampire movies coming back out and it's just getting tiresome. They're everywhere. Who cares?
What
about
other vampire movies?
mainly TV shows?
Oh, okay.
Being Human, which is we have BBC and American. BBC's
Okay.
better, of course.
So you're just burnt out on... Now, this film was shot... This film was made
Okay.
long before...
Right.
And long before those films.
But it's
This
like the
predates
same
Twilight.
things are being done with vampires,
Okay.
and they're always like high society and all these things. It's like I would like to see another bring about of the Nosferatu vampires, where they aren't pretty.
Well,
They look like rat people.
I mean, we saw an alternate... a different vision of the vampire in the Moth Diaries, and we didn't care much for that idea.
I'd rather watch Moth Diaries again than this. I mean, do you mean difficulties making a vampire film?
Telling a compelling vampire story.
Is that everyone's doing the same thing? Really, being a vampire is great. Being a vampire is the best thing in the world, and I had. Don't steal this. This is copyrighted by Madeline. I was working on a vampire story where someone who was a very hardcore Catholic who was going to go into the nunnery was turned into a vampire, and it was a traditional vampire. She couldn't go near crosses, and basically the religion she cherished so much in her life she couldn't even be a part of. And she goes crazy, kills her family member, and she won't kill herself because
It's a sin.
she'll go to hell.
Okay.
And you don't see anything like that. It's always like, I'm a vampire. Oh my god, I'm so pretty now, and it's wonderful, and I'm immortal, and oh, it's great. Why don't we see someone who has a phobia of blood, which is honest, it's a common phobia, turn into a vampire? Why does it always have to be a positive thing? And it's
We've
always the
stopped
same.
talking about the film.
It's always the same damn storyline too. Like Camilla, the vampire story Camilla, which is a classic, has only been done once. And it was Hammer Horror's The Vampire Lovers. That's the closest rendition we have of Camilla done. Why can't we see a film of Camilla? That would be an easy, low-budget film. It would be compelling. It'd be something different. Shut up. Should we talk about the movie again?
But you're talking about... But still, you're just talking about remaking...
Well, it's
retelling
the same
another
damn
story.
thing.
But
And this
well-
is like your typical...
Yeah, but you talk about telling a new story, and the new story you want to tell is remaking another film.
But it...
And
No, that's the closest
retelling.
thing we have to
Oh,
Camilla.
okay.
But Camilla itself has not been done, and it's a really compelling story and a look at vampires. But it's the same thing, and sadly this film is the same, like, vampire hunter, they killed my family, and I'm so tormented, and I must go kill the vampires.
Yeah, but this...
At least Wolf Hunter, he was doing it for money. He wasn't really doing it because, oh, the werewolves ate my baby or
Well,
something.
they say there's like 5 stories, and revenge being one of them.
Yeah.
So that's a classic story, and I can understand using that as a motivation. And back when this film was made, these kind of films weren't as prolific as they are now, and people weren't as burnt on vampires as they might have been. It's also, you got to think for. I mean, this is one of his first. This is as far as I know, his first feature film. I can remember back when I first discussing with people filmmaking, and we thought, well, what can we do? What's the generally the easiest stuff to do if you want to do a horror film? What do you think? Well, vampires, because you just get the teeth.
Yeah.
Really? You just got to get the teeth. I mean,
And fake blood.
they did more than just get the teeth.
Right.
You got to give me credit for that. Of course, the reason we didn't make a vampire film is at the time it was just me and 2 other guys, and we realized who's going to bite who.
To make a vampire film.
So vampire films are usually a good place to start.
But keep it if you're making if this is your first film, keep it simple. I mean, there was stuff going on, and I was like, this isn't leading anywhere.
That's good advice, but starts such an endeavor? I mean, we're talking making a feature film. Who starts such a grand endeavor with a small idea? Who wants to go keep it simple? What?
The vampire film I was working on was pretty straightforward.
Okay. How did that turn out?
I got replaced because I had the flu.
Has this film been completed?
No, and I won't say why.
Okay.
I don't know if this person will watch it, but
this film this film was completed.
Girl gets turned into vampire. It sucks. She doesn't know how to handle it. She kills her boyfriend. She goes out into the sun and kills herself. It was simple, straightforward, and it went through the whole being a vampire sucks thing.
Was that a feature?
Cool. It was supposed to be a feature.
Okay.
It was going to be 90 minutes, and the only thing I had to film was an impaling scene. All by myself.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm a bit bitter about that.
Yeah, this is the second time it's come up.
Yes, it's going to
But
keep coming up.
yeah, okay. It's going to keep coming up. But I'm just saying, I think anyone who gets into filmmaking and starts to make a feature, keeping it simple, that's great advice. I will not question that advice, but that's advice that comes from someone who's had that experience. Someone who hasn't made a feature film before might go, I'm going to make a feature and it's going to be big, and I'm going to throw as much action into it, as many ideas as I can into it, as large as a cast, as many locations as I can into it, and make it as big as possible. So I don't think a lot of people go into their first feature thinking simple, thinking smaller. I can tell you, when I first wrote my first feature-length script, I was not thinking. I still wasn't thinking small. I was thinking, what can I get, and what do I know I can have location-wise? Oh, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the zombie script I wrote.
Oh, okay.
Which they tell you you're supposed to have three main characters. I had 8 main characters, and zombies and makeup, and I realized after doing this, it's like, there's no way I can make this right now. But Michael Kazlo had the ambition to make this film, make it as large as he could. And it does cover a lot of ground, and it does have a lot of action in it, and it has a straightforward story. It's simple in that sense. It is, you understand the character and her motivations.
It just went on too long. I mean, there seemed to be a lot of... Like, the end scene, I was just sitting there like, they're just beating a dead horse, okay? She's just kill him. Just die. Just do something. And...
I gotta say, I know it's... I like when the stalker was putting her through the walls. And yes, I know those were styrofoam insulation, but I like seeing things break in movies.
I like seeing people be entertaining in movies that are trying to be entertaining. I mean,
okay. The
stalker just... I'm like, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Just stop talking. Don't... Shut up. Just shut up. I just wanted to strangle him. I just wanted her to tear at his tongue. And... Because it's like every line was a bad pun or a really bad joke or him trying to be funny, and he wasn't funny. He wasn't even remotely funny. It got to be funny that he was so not funny.
Maybe that was intentional.
No.
No?
We know when it's intentional. Okay, we watched something before this where they intentionally did things that were awful, and this was just terrible, and I just... It went into... The bad puns went into Adam West territory, but then left. like it even went beyond Adam West. Like, this guy had nothing on Catwoman has nothing on this guy. It was like, I have human in my teeth. Ho 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 ho. Shut up. Stop talking. This is why you were not an effective vampire. If he shut up, he may have killed her. No, he was too busy. I have a harem of very homely looking PTA moms.
No, I don't think personal attacks on the appearances of the actor.
No, we were talking
the
about
actors is appropriate. Okay.
You're the one who said it first. Just because you're not.
I don't think that's fair.
Okay, one of them. Oh.
Well, you gotta
comparison to the typical image of
You
a
can
harem
even,
you would see on a movie.
You can even change that with the clothing. I'm sorry, but when your lead actress is being the sexy seductress vampire and she's wearing a sweater vest.
That wasn't the lead actress.
One of the sexy vampires is wearing a sweater vest.
Okay.
And the cocaine, like, it's this drug haven. They're all sitting around sniffing cocaine. Like, this is a drug house. This is where the druggy vampires go. And it looks like they just came back from, like, taking their kids to soccer practice. I mean, put some effort into it. Like,
well, all people, there's different people who drugs affect lots of people.
Yes,
in the community.
drugs are bad.
It's just not,
and not all drug addicts look the same. But
yeah.
If you're making a low-budget film, then things must look like stereotypes.
Oh, okay.
That's filmmaking. No, but it does kind of look like they got most of the cast from PTA meetings. It really did. And that was distracting. And the one actress who was all like, I'm a sexy vampire. And she was like scooting across the floor like a toddler. I used to be a nanny, and when I saw that, I was like, I've seen that before from a 1-year-old. It was just bad. It was so bad. But it had a great appearance of a Thundercats t-shirt.
Oh, the Mute.
The Mute.
Fair.
He was just a mute.
The Mute brought a lot of things together. Brought the early 2000s looks. He had the silver parachute pants that made the sounds
so
when he was running.
I couldn't even get over it, and they were blinding. Like,
he communicated often by using his Palm Pilot. Yeah.
And mouthing things.
And mouthing things, yeah. There are aspects that are dated, but
those pants.
Those
pants needed a credit in the film. I'm sorry. They were so bright. He could have been killing other vampires with them.
Those pants were no.
And he got taken down by a knife in the knee.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'll let you say it. That started all sorts of like Skyrim references.
What was it? I don't even remember.
I was a scary vampire, and then I took a knife to the knee.
Yes, right before he died.
And this is one thing that got me. She's not a very impressive fighter, and that seems to be obvious. I mean, she spends most of the time falling down, and they have a club full of vampires. One in a very pretty flowery shirt.
I don't think it was a club full of vampires.
Really?
No.
I think it was a vampire club.
I think it was a vampire club.
Okay.
And
then why was the...
Because apparently everyone's oblivious in that movie. Like, they're at a bar, and they're talking about vampires, and there are people there that are obviously not vampires. And they're, like, very clear, like, talking about, like, the Egyptian clans, and tasting blood, and blah, 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 and, like, coming on to each other. And no one cares. And it's not like they're far away.
Okay, yeah, but if you were in an odd bar or... Wait, actually, knowing you, if you were in a bar and people were having two women at the end of the bar, strange women at the end of the bar were having a conversation about vampires, you would probably go over and join them. So...
No, if they were sitting there talking like they were vampires, I would leave. Because I don't want to hang out with those gothy people.
I don't know. You say that, but I want your boyfriend's opinion. Would she really leave if people were talking as vampires, or would she be curious as hell?
He knows it all depends on the drink.
Yeah.
If there's a decent drink in front of me, I'll stay anywhere.
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't know. There's a lot of just...
It is a lot...
There's a lot of cast.
There is a huge cast in this
There's a huge cast. I don't know. I just didn't like the movie. And I feel bad for tearing it apart because I know it's a low-budget film. It's his first film. But he did such a good job with Vampire Assassin compared to this. The effects were better. The few fight scenes were better. The camera angles were better. I mean, there was like, if there was movement, then they had a shot where you couldn't tell that there was a house hanging out in the back that was just there while he's like on top of a car. And he's like, oh, I'm on top of a car. And there's a house.
No,
behind me.
I could explain. Okay, what she's talking about. There's a scene where the stalker is coming after Maria. Maria's in a car. He jumps onto the car, and we see footage that shows Maria's driving away
I'm not gonna
very quickly.
complain.
And there's a house, and then they cut to him on top of the car, and there's obviously a house behind, a static house behind him.
I'm not going to complain too much.
I am suggesting that have you ever been on the road and there's a house on the road because it's being driven by one of those long trailer things, it's those wide loads. There was a house being moved directly behind Maria and the vampire who was on top of the car that was keeping an even pace to give the appearance that they were just parked in front of the house. And I am not going,
He wasn't talking during that
I am
scene,
not going to bust on that because also in my film, during a similar driving scene, there is a tree following along at the exact same pace, which was obviously in a landscaping van.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room? Or in the movie now?
What?
They couldn't get the actress to be in the big last minute fight scene, and that was so distracting. It just...
I remember watching...
really badly blue screening, like, her in, and you could tell it was maybe a year or even months.
Not bad for that age.
It was
That
bad.
that time.
It was bad.
Obvious.
You are crazy.
Obvious, but I remember there being. I listened to the audio commentary and I remember there being a particularly good reason that I can't recall. But yes, if I had to make a suggestion relating to that final scene,
Shorten
seeing
it.
yes.
If
Well,
your
not-
actress can't make it, shorten it. Don't make it into as long as possible.
Well, maybe if the tattoo artist vampire had been the final vampire.
Yeah.
Because that's the one she set out to kill.
Whose shotgun cannot
She's-
shoot through cardboard boxes.
Yes, who happened to be building
Oh,
a little fort out of cardboard in his basement where he was
That was
tattooing a
bulletproof.
vampire, or he was finishing the tattoo on another vampire
whose tattoo
whose
looked like it was 5 years
tattoo
old.
was at least, yes, it was actually even already starting to fade. Yes.
Another low budget film tip. If you are doing a tattoo scene and you want the tattoo to look somewhat fresh, use markers. Plain markers. Even if you're going to make it look like it's over someone's tattoo, just go over the tattoo again with some markers. It gives it a nice look to it where it does look like it is fresh.
We're gonna do one.
We're gonna have
do it.
a tattoo scene in one of our movies.
Yeah, this is how it's going to be done. My wife is going to finally appear on film if she can get a tattoo out of it.
No.
You
I'll do
know,
that too.
these independent reviews could come back to haunt us,
I-
or particularly
you know
her at some time in the
No,
future.
no,
I mean,
go
we do have our own work
Go
out there.
through. I'll review the movie I did. Trust me, I can sit there and make all sorts of comments about my own performance. And if you,
Which movie are you talking about?
Randy Carter,
Oh, okay, all right.
which was no fault on yours, but
Right.
the fault on the actress who didn't bother to learn the script.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you whoever made this, if
But-
you want to tear apart Randy Carter, go right ahead.
But okay, see,
Or even these reviews.
I understand. I like to think we both from our viewpoints, have an understanding of these films. I don't think it was a bad film. And my limited experience I can appreciate it more because I can see all the work and all the work that had to go into making it.
I think I may see it again, and we brought this up before at another review, that I see it differently because I'm from the acting standpoint.
Mhm.
So I'm like, when she was trying to do her, like, I'm crazy now. I'm dealing with vampires.
Okay.
And I'm crazy. And I was like, that's what you're doing? That's your I'm crazy now thing? And it just, I was like, it's not hard to do crazy.
Well, that scene did stick out. Like you said about the tattoo artist talking about his relationship to her parents.
Mm-hmm.
That's another scene that stuck out where like that crazy part didn't necessarily fit.
It just came out. It was like, now I'm crazy. There wasn't really a build-up. There wasn't anything showing like, oh, I'm having a hard time with this because something.
I think that's an example of a film being made over a period of time. And sometimes when that happens, you don't always know where the character is in that journey. Also could be either a reason for that is you have you try to get all the work of the lead actress with particular other actors done in one period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because if you had to plan for this, nearly every scene has the lead actress in it, or a majority of the scenes. So you might have schedule. Well, I'm going to do everything with Maria and the father, or the church father.
This little umbrella.
Do those all together, and sometimes when you put it together, it doesn't always match up. If you're saying, because you're shooting things at different times. And you think, well, you're going to see a progression, but you don't always. It doesn't always appear.
Okay.
Okay.
It just seemed to come out of left field for me.
It was a little surprising. All right.
Can we talk about the Cossack? Or not the Cossack. The Cossack was fine. Cossack looked good. The awkward-looking habit.
That was an original design by the director.
Blue and red and pleats.
Well, there's a lot of.
And these?
There's different.
Yeah.
I know different churches or different religions or subdivisions of Christianity and offshoots all have their own.
I thought that because it was so weird looking, it was like it was a church that trains vampire hunters. Nope. Mm-mm. It just is a church with funny looking habits that are red and blue and pleated and.
Maybe it was an attempt to be respectful where they just didn't want to.
Is that a thing? Like you don't.
Well,
Because it didn't make the Catholic Church look bad in any way.
No, I know, but
in this film, it was
maybe there was a personal reason behind it. Like, I think it would be disrespectful to use an actual, or maybe it's just something like a visual design choice. Okay.
It just looked weird. I can understand being respectful. I mean, this definitely isn't anti-church or anything. It
No.
makes, everyone who's a member of the church looks great, is very well presented, except for Maria or Myrna.
Before the age of cynicism, which we're in,
Right, where...
I think, nowadays, I can't imagine anyone, and I'm not saying whether that would be right or not, but nowadays, there's a lot of people with negative feelings that would put that cynicism into their work. So,
which they didn't do, and I have to congratulate them on that. You had a guy in a Cossack who was a good guy, and I liked the character. He was very kindly, old father type. But
We thought martial arts was preventive.
that was
against
weird.
vampires.
It's like, we know vampires are real. We know vampires are hunting you, so we taught you martial arts.
It worked out. Okay. All right.
Okay, we gotta stop.
Yeah,
because
we've got to wrap it up. But I one last thing. Michael Kazlo II brought us Maria Hunter in Bloodlust. Brought us Veronica in The Vampire Assassin.
I want to see more Veronica.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, yeah.
I mean, she had a nice butt.
Okay.
She did a great job.
All right.
Sorry.
Vampire Hunter. Who's going to win in that match?
Veronica's gonna kick her ass.
Veronica's going to
I'm
kick her
sorry.
ass.
And Veronica would do it butt naked, and she'd still kick her ass. You know, take that little sheer thing she was wearing, strangle her with it, and hopefully strangle that. Oh wait, he's dead, so he's not talking anymore. But Veronica
I'm
definitely.
sure you could bring him back.
Yeah, please, and have Veronica like cut his tongue out. But Veronica definitely, and I liked Veronica a lot more. Like I was thinking about it, and just the character. I was like, honestly, if Maria died in this, I wouldn't have cared. I felt worse for Regret. I mean, he was fun. Now
Regret was cool.
He's gone
Regret was cool.
with his cocaine face.
So
Veronica, definitely. We want to see more Veronica.
we want to see more of Veronica.
We want to see Veronica kick Maria's ass. Or blue screen Maria, you know. Either or. Was that mean?
Right. No, it's fine. Well, actually, his next film is a step away from vampires. It's called Cryptid. It's a monster film.
Oh!
Yeah.
Cryptids.
Yeah.
I actually know what that means because I looked that up on Tumblr.
What does that mean?
It's your Fuji mermaid, your all sorts of different monsters, urban legends, your Bigfoot's in there, your Loch Ness monster, your
You mean like cryptozoology?
yeah.
Wrap it up.
All right, rip it up.
Wrap it up. You guys are just
We've
talking.
completely lost track of
We
pretty much everything.
this
So-
was this wasn't a review. That was like, do you
No.
want to watch Madeline and Mike sit around and just talk?
Pretty much, yes.
Watch this.
Yes.
Because we're so entertaining.
I enjoyed the movie. This was a horrible review.
Sorry.
We'll see you next time, and I have no idea what we're watching. Good night.
Good night.